And welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to another exciting week of the KungFu Cup 2023 round number 6. I'm, of course, your host, Light VIP, and with me, I am joined by the one, the only, the plushies themselves. Bienvenidos. Welcome, everyone. It is going to be an exciting one because we have, once again, another very stacked bracket, an insanely large, big, throbbing bracket at that, as we expect for the KungFu Cup, and we have quite a matchup before us as well, because spawning in the bottom left hand corner of Royal Blood, we have the red Terran player. It is Slayer, otherwise known as Spemic Batboss. That's funny. In the top right hand corner of Royal Blood, we have as opponent, we have the Polish Protoss player representing Team Liquid. It is MaNa. Here we go. So a little bit of a different series to start things off. If you're familiar with our casting of the KungFu Cup, we usually just dive on mainly the Koreans, to be honest. Maybe some Southeast Asians as well, you know, maybe some ESL Asia region against the Koreans. That's typically what we do go for. But I wanted to switch some things up because we honestly rarely get to cast the Europeans on this channel. If we cast a European, it's usually up against a Korean. And yeah, that's typically how things are here on the CranKy Ducklings, but I wanted to spice things up. I wanted to spread our wings and spread our horizons as well. And yeah, this matchup here is a little bit lower profile. Of course, we've got MaNa, of course, here in the top right, alongside his more amateur opponents, which I'm not too familiar with, not too familiar with Slayer. But the reason why I jumped on this is because the winner of this series will face Rainer in the next round, and the winner of that series will most likely face Classic in the round after that. So we have a lot of really good high-profile matches ahead of us, and I'm pretty sure all the other casters are going in different directions. They're all headed elsewhere. I think Wardy is covering Max Pax versus Oliveira, and I think someone else is covering potentially Dark series. I know Dark is looking to face Ragnarok soon in a ZVZ. So a lot of really good matches going on, and you know, I just want to try and spread out and cover as much ground as we can, as we only have a limited amount of English casters, and it would be a shame if we did double up too early on. So here we go. We have a bit of a PvT to kick things off. Again, I'm not too familiar with our lovely Terran player, other than the fact that they are, of course, native to the European region as well. We are over in the land of Europe, so yeah, I at least have that to work off of. I know that there are a lot of Slayers out there. There's a Latin American Slayer, there's a European Slayer, there's a North American Slayer. It's quite a common ID, so not too sure who this is, but you know, I'm ready to bear witness. As the first attempt does get across the map, and is going to be forcing a delay on the CC just barely in time, but we have a second SCV, and the CC will finish nonetheless. We did, of course, have a double gas opener here from our Terran player. We have prioritized that factory above all else. Reaper is going to be tangoing here with this Adept, but again, the Adept has already kind of done its job, is denying mining time here. Did delay the CC by like a second. Not the biggest of deals. For the most part, our Terran player here has handled this quite well. Doesn't have the DPS to kill the Adept for now, so we're going to be forced to just Maynard our SCVs over a little bit later, or just be a little bit more careful with our workers. As MaNa is forced back at home, we do have a Twilight Council opener. And it's not just a Twilight Council opener, we're going to be throwing down 3 more gates, or 2 more gates behind it. It's going to be 4 gate blink. So quite an aggressive opener here from our Polish Protoss player. With this, we're going to be across the map with a Prism. We're going to be in the face of Slayer with some Stalkers, and we'll see if Slayer can keep up with the aggression of his opponent, as already he's having a hard time dealing with these Adepts. So much less fire time. Oh, the mules are really painful as well. 2 fresh mules kind of forced off the mineral line here, and alas, our Cyclone is just a little bit delayed. Eventually we will resume mining here, and MaNa, he knows his timings. He does get the hell out of there before he loses these Adepts too needlessly. So MaNa just doing a great job so far. Eventually we'll have to respect the Cyclone and back the hell off. Do even commit to the shade just to get a little bit more scouting information, confirming some of the add-on swaps going on. We are aware that we should be seeing a starport on this tech lab. This should be for Raven production, but we'll see if our Terran player is going to be a little bit cheeky and go for Banshees instead. But no, there is the Raven. Meanwhile, of course, we started off with 4-gate Blink Stalker, and Slayer is working off of very limited information. He was able to scout, did confirm the additional gateways as they were being thrown down, so he has plenty of information, but there is no tank. He actually add-on swapped out of it. Oh my god. Without a tank to hold on, these Blink Stalkers can have their way with this army. The Marines are going to be going down. The Cyclone is not going to be good enough. GG gets called, and MaNa will take game number 1. GG. 4-gate Blink isn't all in by any means, but it does require a specific response, and alas, there were no tanks in production for our Terran player. Did prioritize the Cyclone first, which was fine, but then went for an add-on swap, got the tech lab off of that factory, and in the end that meant that he had Marines and only Marines to defend. Oof. A little bit brutal there. A solid opener from MaNa, solid start to this series, but we'll see if Slayer can maybe fight back in some way here in game number 2. I'm hoping, at least I'm hoping. We are in fact getting into that second game. Vetoes are done, lobby is made, and here we go. Game 2 is going to be taking place on Dragon Scales. Underdog for the let's go. True. Yeah, again, Slayer, he is more of an underdog in this for sure, for certain. But you know, there's nothing to lose in that case, you know. And always a shout out to some of the more amateur players that do sign up for this tournament. I did notice in the exclamation mark B in the chat, by the way, if you want to look at the bracket yourself, I did notice that some of the other admins and casters signed up as well. Inu, who's the Korean caster, he signed up to play. Sarutobi, who's the WTL admin, he signed up to play as well. So again, this tournament is open to all regardless of skill level. That also means that some skill levels are quite high, because spawning in the bottom right hand corner of Dragon Scales, we have the best Protoss player in all of Poland, the blue Protoss representing Team Liquid. It is MaNa. And spawning in the top left hand corner of Dragon Scales, we have his opponent. We have the red Terran in game. He may be Spemic, but he is Slayer. We go. What I will say is that the opener overall from our Terran player seemed pretty solid. His reaction to the Adept was quite sound as well. But alas, even though our Terran player did scout the Twilight Council, saw it researching, and also saw the additional gateways, we did not respect the Blink opener. We were woefully unprepared for it. And a lot of that probably does come down to the Adept harass. Like, the Adepts harassing the mineral line at the natural, it doesn't just deny workers, it doesn't just deny mining, it also just gets in the head of your opponents and does kind of cause a little bit of chaos. I'm sure throughout all of that, Slate or our Terran player was just thinking like, oh my god, I have to get rid of these Adepts, like I have to make sure I don't rally my SCVs into the mineral line, I have to make sure I'm, you know, throwing down my production and getting my add-ons going, and like, it's just something more that taxes your mind and taxes your mentality as you play the game, and then you can forget what you scouted across the map, or it can, like, you know, just be like buried like in the recesses of your mind because you're getting ready for something else instead, or you just don't want to mess up on something else instead. So yeah, it all does kind of add up, and you know, it takes a pretty experienced player to be able to deal with that and to be able to be unfazed. That's when the GMs come in. That's when the pro players come in. So yeah, a bit of a rough game from for Slayer for game number 1, but we're getting into game 2. It is going to be a Rax Expand. It is going to be an economic opener. It was delayed because of that probe. So unfortunately not the fastest CC, but you know, at least it's on the way nonetheless, on the low ground. Meanwhile, once again, MaNa is going to be going for a Twilight Council opener. Off of this, just like that previous game, is going to be zooming across the map with his first Adept, and we're going to be seeing a repeat of what happened earlier. At least we have a bunker. We do have a Marine in position as well, but this Adept is poised to try and delay that CC. We we go. The shade is coming on in, and it looks like we will actually shade into the main. The wall was not a wall. A little bit of a slip up there by a Terran player. The Adepts is going to be able to get a little bit of damage and also get a full scatter the main. As an SCV is going to be going down. At least the CC does finish on the low ground, but a couple of workers are going to be going down. The repair not quite fast enough either. 2 SCVs already. Can we get a third? Oh, he wants it. He wants the third SCV, and he is going to be able to get that third and also delay the starport, get a full scout, see the 111, see the tech lab on the factory as well. And what I will say, even though these Adepts are doing a lot of damage, we can see that our Terran player has learned from game number 1, as we do immediately have a tank being produced, no Cyclone this time, which means we will have a defense for the 4-gate for the 4-gate Blink Stalkers. Speaking of, we do have 2 more gates on the way. This is the exact same opener as same build, I should say, as game number 1. MaNa is going for 4-gate Blink. He's going for the Prism. He's going to be going across the map with his Stalkers. Bit of a skill check here from MaNa, but again, looks like our red Terran is much better prepared this time. We have 1 tank that's covering the natural. We're going to have a 2nd tank to cover the production and the main base. Hopefully, we can also, if we really want to, throw down maybe another bunker in the main as well, just to make sure we are safe and sound. But to be fair, I don't think everything has been scouted. Like, we are aware of the blink, but we don't know if this is 4-gate or 3-gate. Regardless, our red Terran is taking this very seriously, is repositioning his tanks. I'm a little bit concerned, but there we go. The 2nd tank is going to be covering the production. Should be sieging up soon, hopefully. As we are just going for a couple of add-on stops here and there. MaNa's going for another warp in. He does have high ground vision. He's going to be blinking up into the main base. The tank is unsieged. I'm worried about that. I hope it does siege soon. Otherwise, it will be a prime target here for MaNa. But there we go. He is going to look to cover the main base. We have the Raven as well, just for an auto target. But we blink on forward. The first tank will go down, and we do have vanilla Marines to try and stop this, and a couple of Stalkers will fall. But MaNa is fighting out of range of the 2nd tank, and now the production, the main base is under threat. Boys are being, oh no! Boys are being pulled, auto turret is thrown down, but the Raven does get focused down as well. The 2nd tank comes up into the main, but is looking very vulnerable, and oh my god, it will go down. Oof. This 4-gate Blink opener doing so much damage. GG gets called once again, and MaNa will take game number 2 and the series. GG. We did see, of course, our Terran player adapting over the course of the series, but alas, wasn't quite able to defend it in the end. Was lacking map awareness about where the push was coming from, whether in the main base or the natural instead, and alas, didn't have all of his Marines together to help protect those tanks. GG, of course, GG. And MaNa will advance on to the next round. We love to see it.